In this video, I'll show you how to automate paragraphs that contains both text and numbers. So the first scenario I will take you through is where you've got a paragraph and it's all typed in manually. And then the second scenario will be how you automate that paragraph. So let's take a look at this first scenario then, where I've got these sets of numbers here, and I've got sales, cash margin, margin percentage. I've got the actual results, the budgeted results, and then what's the variance against budget. So if I click inside this paragraph here that contains basically the story that's telling me what's happened during the month, you can see it's all kind of manually typed up. And it starts off by saying that the actual sales achieved for the month was $200,000. So that's that number there. And what that relates into terms of percentage was plus 20% higher than budget. And the actual cash margin, $192,000. Again, it's that number there. Or 27%. Again, that number there, or that percentage there, above budget. And the rest of the paragraph kind of just goes through and explains all the other variances that you can see here. Now, say I come to my next month and I've got these new sets of numbers. As you can see, the numbers are kind of completely different. My variances are also different. So now if I want to write the same paragraph, you will see that I've got quite a bit of changes that I have to make to this paragraph. So the red highlighted words and numbers are the ones that I have to manually change to reflect the new numbers and variances here. So in total, just for this paragraph, there's about 14 manual changes that I would need to make. Now in Excel, there's a way to completely automate this process. So let's take a look at how you would do that. So again, here I've got the exact same numbers as the first month in the previous scenario. And what I will show you is once I basically change this to the following month's numbers, you should see this text and numbers automatically change. So let's take a look then. So here I've got the values of the new month. So I'm going to copy that. And let's just value paste that. So once I click on OK, you should see the text and the numbers automatically change. So let's do that. So we click on OK. And there you can see it's automatically changed. So now it's saying that the actual sales achieved for the month was $100,000, which is that number there. Or in percentage terms, minus 10% lower than budget. And the actual cash margin, $90,000. Again, that's that number there, minus $90,000. Or in percentage terms, that's minus 13% below budget. So how do we automate that? So the way you do that is to basically change this into a formula. And when I click inside this, it will look a bit scary because it will be a lot of formulas in there. But there is a easy way to kind of just break that down into smaller chunks, and then it doesn't look so intimidating. So let's have a look when we click inside here. So as you can see, there is quite a lot of formulas in here, and it is quite hard to follow, especially if you're the person who's not written this and you're basically trying to follow someone else's work or someone else's formula. So there is a way to just basically break this into smaller chunks. So let's take a look at how that would look then. Again, here I've got this exactly the same paragraph, but now I've just broken it down into smaller sentences, and I've basically just concatenated all of these different cells. So let's look at the first sentence here. And again, if I click on the cell here, and I'm just going to ungroup this here. So what I've got here is basically the first bit saying that the actual sales achieved for the month was minus $100,000 or minus 10% lower than budget. And the way you kind of automate that is, like I said, you have to basically change it into a formula. Now, what you will have in this formula is you'll have some text or some wording that will kind of never change or will be the same every month. So in the first bit, it will say the actual sales achieved for the month was. So that's a kind of a generic text that will not really change. And then the next step is then it follows with the numbers that will change, and then also the wording that will change where it says it's below or above budget. Okay, so let's take a look then at how you would write that formula out. So if I'm writing something that's just going to be in text and the text is never going to change, I have to just put that into inverted commas. So like any formula, you started with an equal sign, and the first bit is the text that's not going to change. So I'm going to put that into inverted commas. So I'm going to say the actual sales achieved for the month was, and then I'm going to do another inverted comma there. And then I'm going to do an and sign or the and symbol to kind of say to Excel, now I'm moving on to my next step or my next formula in this complete set of formula here. So the next one is going to be where I'm going to say this actual sales achieved for the month was. I'm going to quote how much was it above or below budget. So as you can see, I use a text formula. So I'm going to say text, open bracket, and I'm going to refer to this cell here. So that's going to be my cell or value reference here. So I'm going to select that cell, and then I'm going to move on to the next part of that text formula. And this is basically saying in what format do you want that text to appear in. So at the moment that value, or it's appearing as this, and I want it to appear as a kind of abbreviated number, and I'm going to want to have it appear as minus $1,000 as in minus 100K, to say that's 100,000, just abbreviated basically. So the kind of format text that you want to use is this bit here. And again, any format text you use, you have to put that into inverted commas as well. I'm going to then move on to the next bit where I've got a kind of blank space from one number to the number. So you can see between $100,000 and the minus 10%, I want to leave a blank. Again, if you want to leave a blank, you have to put that into inverted commas. We move on to the next bit where it's going to quote the percentage. And again, we use a text formula here. And you can see we're referring to this cell here where it's got a percentage. And again, this is what format text we want to use. And again, I'm using kind of percentages. You put that into inverted commas. Use the and symbol to move on to the next step. Again, I want to use a blank space. So I'm just going to put that into inverted commas. And then the next step, I'm going to say, is that going to be lower or higher than the budget? And again, I've got this bit where I've kind of automated the text where I'm going to say, if this number here is below 0, then I'm going to use the word lower than. If it's above 0, it's going to go higher than. And I'll show you the formula there as well quickly. And then the next bit is, again, I'm going to use leave a blank space. And I'm going to say it was higher or lower than the budget. So again, it's referring to that cell there. So the reason I do that in that way is, say, if you wanted to use a different text, say for instance, you wanted to change that word budget to forecast, you will then see that it's basically changed the wording to forecast. Now, how do I get this kind of text format that I've got here? So it's quite easy basically to get that. Because the reason you have to use that text format is because if you don't use the text format, once you kind of write this formula here, and if you don't put a text format, the number is basically going to appear like this number here or this value here. And that's quite hard to read If you've got 1 and you've got loads of zeros, is that 100,000? Is that 1 million? It's sometimes a bit hard to read. So that's why you want to use a specific kind of text format for that. And the way to do that is once you've kind of decided what's the text format you want to have, you kind of go and you select the cell, you right click on the cell, you click on format cells, and under the number tab, you go to custom. And as you will see here, there's loads of different formats that you can use to write that text or for that number to appear in. So let's say, for instance, I want to use this one here. Click on OK. And there you can see it's kind of changed it to that number there. So if I want to use that then in the formula, I basically just have to, again, if I go into right click and I click on format cells, and then if I basically go into this where you've got the description, the type, you basically just highlight that and do Control-C to copy it. And say if I do then equals text, and I'm going to refer to that value there, or let's say just that value there, and then comma to move on to the next part of the formula. And now the format text, I'm going to put that into inverted commas, and I'm going to do Control-V to copy, or sorry, to paste that text format that I copied previously, and then do that inverted comma again and close the bracket, and then press enter. But there you can see that's now appearing like that. And that's the same for when you use it as part of a formula and as part of a text, it will always kind of refer to that. And the same goes for percentages really. Again, if you don't use a specific kind of text format, it will appear like that in your kind of sentence once you've kind of formulated it. So it's going to say, instead of the minus 10% in brackets, it's basically going to appear like that. So again, you just have to do the same thing. You right click on that format cells, click on custom, and then you basically select the option that you want to use basically. And again, you're going to do copy that, Control-C, and then if we say equals text, and we select that value there, comma, inverted comma, and then we paste that text format, inverted comma, and then close bracket, and there you can see it's now appearing like that. So what I will do is then, if I want to use this in a complete formula, it's probably more simple if you just break the whole paragraph into kind of sentences like that, and that's a bit more easier to kind of manage, I suppose. And then once you're happy with the sentences, all you need to do is you just kind of join all of these sentences together so it kind of appears then as a paragraph. So yeah, I hope you found this quite useful, and this is something that you can use. If you have found it useful, consider giving the video a thumbs up. And then also if you want to kind of get notified of any new videos that will be posted, and then consider to subscribe. Okay, I will see you on the next video.